Attention,
I am
mother.
so
This episode is not for you. It is not
right.
for you.
Nobody's listening in
shit.
this episode. I'm done.
Wow.
Don't step away from you to fulfill what other people want to hear, because you're not a jukebox. You're a creative human being.
Moi j'en ai marre, je vous l'ai déjà dit. Y a pas que moi, y a surtout les esprits. Jusqu'à la mort, c'est ça la vie.
We from the old school. Don't let them rope you. You running things, stay in your lane, wishing to smoke you.
Grenade à la sauce. Ça qui mourit, ça fait aïe.
Oh, my dad be doing that shit to me a lot, bruh. Like, he's
Jesus
just sending
loves
me
you.
chains. Like, even though he knows where I stand with everything,
Bon
he
sabbat.
still feels the need
He woke
to
you up
send
today.
it.
Be grateful.
Yes. Like, oh, look what Jesus
My
did to
WhatsApp
this
is
person.
just spam from my
Bruh.
mom.
Sending me
fix my
testimonies of
settings
stuff
right now.
like, oh, look, Jesus made that person walk. Jesus can
Bruh.
make you believe again.
The
Like,
longest
I'm like,
stories. And it would be like you all open it, you like, 16 attachments. You look at the previous 16 attachments. When you look, it's like a whole like screenshotted story of like some bullshit, man.
at least it's a
I
screenshot
used to
stories. I
like
got
go
video.
on Facebook, and
I
whenever I
don't
see
play
those
the videos. so I
messages,
wouldn't know.
no, I never open those videos. Like my
I
mom,
don't watch them. I just know what they
Ever.
say. It's not like my dad even sent me like Trump videos. Like,
Oh
he
my
sent me
gosh.
anything,
I
right?
feel like the
But his
Haitian
Jesus
community
one was
actually
funny.
spam people. I feel like the Haitian community
They
have
do.
like
Like all my aunties send me the same shit my mom sent
you know
me.
the shit.
Yo, this was the last one my dad sent me. Prenez aussi le casque du salut et l'épée de l'esprit. I'm like, what the hell? Are you sitting to my thing? And then they be having pictures with them. Oh,
And
la
fake
parole de
news. They
Dieu.
said a lot of
Oh
fake
my god,
news
Haitian people like
too.
they. I'm not saying Haitian. I should say
Like the
like
Russians
older,
has
like the
has
older
gotten to them.
Haitian people. They just freaking spread fake. My dad
Mhm.
now is like a conspiracy theorist now.
It's so
My dad
scary
is
though.
a conspiracy because according to my dad, black people were the original Hebrews, and
Mhm.
when Jesus
Maybe.
comes, we're
That
the
new
only
movement
people
is moving really hard in Haiti.
we're the only
Moving
people
really
like
hard.
going to, it's easier for them to move those things like in poor region because those people have nothing else to live for except for like the hope of going to heaven.
Mhm.
Yo, I can't. Them
Yeah,
and
but according to
religion, bro.
him, we are the only people that are going to heaven. But he's still asking me when am I gonna accept Jesus? It's like, bro, if I'm already saved, I'm the original Hebrews. I don't need to accept Jesus.
Jesus got me. I can just live my life, man.
I don't even know why he cares if I get saved or not. I told my dad, yo, listen, let me tell you this, my dude. It's okay if we're not in heaven together. I'm pretty sure we're both going to the same place. But in case we're not, just talk to my nigga G for me, let him know.
Yeah, like sometimes they be so mad. I'm like, I'll see you again. Like, I will.
Favor. I mean, for all the money you've been pouring in your pastor's
Yo,
pocket, you tell me Jesus can do you a little favor?
you
Like,
can't put a word in. Like, I told him, legit, all I want, I'm like, who said I want to go to heaven anyways? I do not want to go to some place. All I wear is white. First of all, I hate wearing white. Second of all,
I hate
it's not like
wearing
they
white.
have bleach in heaven to like clean that shit off when you pour coffee over it.
bruh.
This is
Second of all,
literally-
you telling me there will be no emotions, just happiness. Do you know how I hate being happy and smiling all day? Turn of all, I have bullet points for him. I'm like, last but not least, do you know how annoying it is for me? You telling me I spent all my life here praying to Jesus and to God and living by their life, and my reward is to go up there and do it again? Like, my nigga.
When does your life start?
I'm
And
like,
it's eternal life. Like I have to do this shit for the rest. Like literally for the rest.
And that's not
I'm
even
like,
correct.
this,
At this point, you just have to do it for freaking eternity.
that's a lack of
Eternity.
narcissism, though. Like, I'm
Yo,
just gonna say,
and then
I
I'm
don't know
like, if
how
I
that is
don't
a
get it,
reward though. Like, I don't want to do this shit. Like, I don't like.
I'd rather go to hell and have a business, bro. Like,
I never thought of it that way.
can you not have a business in hell? Like, my nigga Satan don't mind you. He cares about the
But
living.
it's true though. It's like you're telling me I have to conform to my life and I have to live this life. That all of you, because so many people, like when I was in the church, we used to always have this little like kind of brain teaser, like if you just found out that Jesus is not coming, like how would you feel? And a lot of people was like,
I didn't like that question.
I would be mad as fuck. Like, everybody's like, what? I did all of that and then no. So you're generally not doing these things because you want to do them. You're doing them because you want to go to heaven.
Listen,
But if you go to heaven and that's all you get to do, like,
yo,
so
this episode, I apologize in
feel like-
advance.
I
All I'm
really
gonna
feel
do is
like
laugh.
what's the sorry?
Jesus is just that toxic boyfriend, always telling you that he's gonna come back, and you keep hoping and shit. You keep that thing dry for him. You're not getting none on the side because
He's like
he's
that
a jealous
narcissistic
guy,
boyfriend.
and he never.
It's literally like you exist to worship me.
I can't.
That's the whole point of your existence.
And then when you're done living right here, living for me, you're gonna move somewhere else all white and live for me again. Like,
Yeah, like you live for me.
But
You
this
know those
time,
boyfriends.
this time you won't even have free will. All you do is just know that you worship
I
me.
know. You can't
Like,
even let me
this time
get
you won't
hurt.
have a choice.
That's
What
when
a
you really
reward!
become part of the matrix.
What
You
a
can't even let me
reward!
cry if I want to. Like, I have to be happy all day.
But then
And
you don't have any free
sing.
will, so you don't even want to cry. All you want to
And
do
you
is
want me
just
to
suck it. You
sing,
know what? I don't even
not
want to
just
say
be
that.
there for you. You want me to sing and be like, "You're the greatest. You're the greatest." Like,
Wait, what
when does
happened to
this
the people
stop?
who don't have a nice voice though? Like all of those
Yeah.
people in like Adventist church, like in the choral and shit, who didn't have a good voice. Now they're just gonna be
Listen,
singing next to me every day. I have to hear them
yo,
sing too.
I
Shit.
have a quick prayer
Maybe
though.
heaven gives them a better voice because I would have to hope
I,
because they be trying it.
I
Like
have a.
like
I
sis, I
can't.
can hear you through the whole church. I can hear you
Listen,
specifically.
I have a quick prayer to my nigga Gito. All I want in this life of sin is alone to start my business in hell. Bruh, can you imagine if somebody's
Oh,
burning?
Alfonso Glacé.
Yes, ice, bro. I don't even want to sell water. I want to sell shave ice. Shave ice with
Oh,
little
Frisco
fresco.
in hell.
Yeah. Do you know how much money I
Yeah.
would make in hell? My
No.
nigga Satan is
But
not even
here's
there.
Can
my
we stop
question
talking
though.
shit
Here's
and
my
get into
question.
this podcast
Am I gonna get a
episode?
horn or not? Cause I didn't care.
I think I'll look good in a
Can I get some hoes or not? Because I mean, I heard like some other gods give you hoes,
Wait,
and I
that's
kind of
what
want that guy.
that's what I want,
Yo,
bro.
okay. You know what? We gotta start taking this episode seriously.
Okay.
Yo, that was a good laugh. I'm
Oh
done.
man.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Whoever believed, I still respect you. I apologize.
Attention.
We're gonna get
Attention.
canceled, guys.
Attention.
I think this is
Attention,
the
brother.
episode where people stop listening.
Yeah.
I have a question.
What's the
When did you
question?
guys start questioning religion?
Ooh. I'm sorry. I just did. I'm sorry, but I think I started questioning religion when I was about 7. I used to be very involved in an Adventist church, and in the Adventist church, like they have this youth class thing that they do where like all of the children are like in a different church and they spend the whole day teaching us about the Bible and all of that. And I was really into reading and whatever, so I started reading the Bible. And then I started having
Mhm.
questions about the Bible. And every time I would
Yeah.
ask a question, I want to say this in Creole, then I'll say it in English. My
Mhm.
mom would say things like, "Oh, de pou pose kesyon sa yo nan ou wal nan lan fe. Ge de
Oh
kesyon
my
pa pose."
gosh.
You're going to
Which
hell, boo.
means
Les choses révélées
certain
sont à nous, ou les
questions.
choses cachées sont à Dieu.
Yeah.
I hate that one. I hate that one. I
Yes.
hate that one.
Yes, well, basically what we're saying is like the parents would be like, there are certain questions that you don't ask. Like when you start asking this question, you're going to hell, you're gonna become an atheist or whatever and whatever.
Mhm.
And atheist, my bad. And
Yeah, like doubt. Like you couldn't
right,
just
it's
doubt.
like because I
Like that's
really
a
used
sin in
to think
itself.
that my mom had the answer to almost everything. So when she started not being able to answer those questions, I'm like, maybe my mom is not as smart as I think she is. And
Mhm.
I'm like, maybe Jesus doesn't have all of the answers. Like I try to find out like, are there like other books that talks about certain things? And when I would find
Mhm.
things that are in contradiction or from science that are in contradiction from what they're telling me in church, when
Mhm.
I would ask those questions, my youth person, the person that was in charge of the thing, used to think that I'm a moonful, aka like a crazy person who's just trying to disrupt the Lord's work and stuff. So I started to get in trouble. And basically, as it's just like it's just a continuous like being curious about things and keep asking questions that there is no answer for. And then like as you start reading the Bible, there's so many things that just contradict each other.
Does
Even
not
like
make sense
sometimes
at
those
all.
things are in the same passage of the books. Like certain things in Exodus itself just like doesn't make sense. And when you ask, nobody has the answer. And you can't even ask Jesus. Like I would pray and I would be like, Jesus, yo, like can you tell me what this is? And nobody would answer. And then I forget things all the time. When I lose my mom's money and I'm trying to be like, Jesus, can you help me find this money? Like if you help me find this money, like I'll be good for the week. Jesus never helped me. And it's like, bruh.
That's all I need. All I need from you. You, the powerful one. What's
I'm
wrong with
over here,
you?
like, I'm getting a whooping for forgetting, like, for losing some money, and you didn't even try to help me when, like, I've done like all of the things that I've said that would do in church. I started to feel like it's a one-way relationship,
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, go on.
but that's not funny.
I don't know.
This whooping was not
Like
fun.
for me, like I think like it was kind of like you in terms of like when I was a kid, I was really just fascinated by like the little holes that were in the stories. But like for me, I didn't really see it as like a real question. I was seeing it as like the answer is there in the Bible, or the answer is there out there, but people just don't really ask this question really, which is why. So I really kind of was still working within the frame of religion itself. So for me, it was so like the way that like religion is, and I think it's a very particular way that it is like in like the Caribbean specifically, but like I know Haiti myself, in the way that they present religion to you as the option. Like there's no other way to live your life but religion. You
Yep.
may be from different religions, but you had to have something. And you had to kind of like, it was this system of control still,
Right.
kind of like really kind of getting you in, and everyone around you, like their responsibility was to make sure that you don't stray away either.
That's true.
And so like when I was like young and I started kind of like like not necessarily doubting, but more so like questioning, and I was questioning a lot. Like I was that kid, and I would just not get these answers, and I would always kind of get that answer, like that answer that we were just talking about. And it wasn't until I moved here and I was in college, it was like my freshman year. And for me, like that's kind of like why it's like, so like for me, I think that I never really quite believed in God. I think I was kind of kept into this,
Going through the motions.
like I have, no, not just that, but I have this thing where like, and it's a complex probably like from growing up, whatever. Talk to
Mm-hmm.
my therapist. But this complex about being the good one.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so it was a lot of that, I think, that kind of kept me in the church for that long. One, it was gospel
Mhm.
music, because gospel
I
music
love
is
It's
gospel
gospel
music.
music.
Till
lit.
now, to
Will
this day,
Lit.
never,
I
bruh.
love
Don't let me
gospel
ever
open my
music.
let
Sunday
that shit go.
songs. I'm like,
Yes,
yes.
yes. But also because because of that. And so for me, like, I never considered anything until I met, someone who was Haitian and who, had the upbringing that I had. Very similar, but just
Still
was
had
an
the
atheist.
option. Yeah.
And for me, I was like, what the fuck? You could do that?
Yes, that was my thing too.
Like, you're not, like, you could, like, I didn't know.
I
And
did not
as soon as
know.
I found out that I could do that, I did that. And that's why I always kind of say, like, I don't know if I like ever really truly believed in God, like, in like, not believe in God,
Mm-hmm.
like, in that story, like, that
Because you
story just
never
didn't
knew
make
you
sense
had
to
other
me.
options.
It's not just that, but it just didn't make sense to me. And I was kind of living in this space where I have to do this for some kind of reason, but this is very nonsensical. So I was kind of in a constant struggle with myself, because, like, on one hand, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I have like a very logical side that's like, nah, like, this is not it. But on the other side, I have like the people pleasing in me, who's like, but this is what you have to do. Like, this is what you do. Like, there's no, like,
Right.
that's just what life is.
Right.
Until I figured out, like, I met someone who presented a different option, but a different option that didn't make you less Haitian, a different option that didn't make you less of what you actually, like, the values that your parents actually inculcated.
Right. You can't just get
Because
rid of that.
what I realized, right, like, because what I realized, and I was like, when I was talking to my mom and I told her that, like, I was kind of like going back to my ancestors, like, traditions and stuff, and I was kind of explaining different things to her. And I told her, I'm like, a lot of the values that you gave me, I still have.
Right.
And a lot of the values that you gave me, to be honest, have not been taught by Christianity, really, not in practice.
They didn't know.
These values that you have are values also from, like, some of them, not all of them, your ancestors. Because my mom was like the kind of person, my mom, like, did a lot of, like, amazing things for people, but not because of, like, church or anything like that. Like, the kind of house that I lived in was, we had my mom, like we had like a conversation about this. It's like, if anyone comes to this house and wants food, whatever food is on the table, like, you make them a plate. These were kind of conversation, kind of rules that we had in my house. Like, my house was very open. It was that house on the block that, like, everyone could come to whatever they needed, And so for me, like, I'm like, these values are always gonna stay with me, but not because of Jesus.
Right. Not because of that invisible
Like,
dude,
like,
bro.
that's not what's gonna keep me. You already taught me this. That's what's important about life. Thinking of, like, knowing how many verses in Psalms by heart, that's not what's important to me in life.
I don't need to
But
be
yeah,
things because I wanted to show off. Like, I wanted it to be the kid in class that knows the thing, Like,
exactly.
but no one. Go ahead, Vanessa, because I
Oh no, I
really
was gonna
want to
let
hear
you
from
talk.
you.
I was like, for me, for me, it's weird. It's like, since Haiti, right? And I was in, like, private school and all that stuff, and they're really big on Catholic church, going to church every Sunday. I was reading, the Bible for people in church. I was playing Mary when it comes to Christmas time. I was. It's like, I was very involved in the activities. I would have fun with the activities, but I will never actually take in everything they're talking about, right? But I felt like, I had to, because no, I kept questioning myself. Like, was something wrong with me? Because I'm like, every time I ask a question, they'd be like, you have to have faith. And I'm like, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
have it. Like, what? How do I get it? How do I achieve faith? Because I've always believed, like, if I need to know something, I ask questions, I research it, and then I do it. And I'm like, but this is one thing I cannot do. I cannot stop the
Mm-hmm.
questions for coming in. And my questions will be
Mm-hmm.
like very silly, stupid questions, right? Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, this one part was my favorite. Like, Genesis is my favorite, like, part of it all. It'll be like,
So scientific.
bruh, it'll be like, oh, Adam and Eve. And it's not even the science part. It's just like some things just don't make sense. Like, I'm missing a lot of information. They were like,
I
Adam and
mean,
Eve
duh.
had, yeah, they were like, Adam and Eve had this, this many children. And then Cain took a wife. Hold on. Where did Cain find a wife?
Where?
There
Where?
were only two people on this
Wow.
planet. You telling me he
Mm-hmm.
found a wife where? And they were like, and then this one found a wife, and this one had a kid. I'm like, so
The
you went to
explanation that I got was that incest at the time
Was fine with
was
the Lord.
I
acceptable
know, but nobody
because
wanted
they
to
were
tell me
trying
that.
to make more people.
But
See,
hey,
I mean, I got that.
even
Like
I
they
even
wish
told me
you
that
got an
straight up.
explanation. I didn't get one. It was like, bruh, they just didn't put everything. You believe. And I'm like, okay, I
oh
believe,
wow.
right? So yeah, I didn't get an explanation the way that I wanted because I'm a very detailed person. Like if you tell me yes, I'm like, yes, why? Yes, how? So I got very annoying real quick with, other people. And my mom would be like, don't ask questions, just believe. And I'm like, but how? So I never believed. And then I got here and then my parents, they will go to church. I'll go to church too. And the pastor would be like, I like the fact that your mind is, open and you never had a religion. Cause I'm like, yeah, I'm not really Catholic. I mean, I was in Haiti, but here I am. I'm going to your church. So I'm a Baptist now, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. So I never knew their rules or their differences. And he was like, I like your brain. So I'm going to make you the worst decision he's ever made. I'm going to make you in charge of the youth, bruh.
Oh Lord, no,
I
no, no,
know,
no,
I
no, no,
know.
no. Actually, good for the
Imagine,
youth.
bruh, imagine not believing, right? And always being that
Mm.
rebel that's like, you don't have to do this because this piece of the book told you to
Mm-hmm.
do that. And then the kids will come to me and they'll be like, well, what do I do in this situation? And I will never go to the Bible to consult the Bible. I'll just give them my opinion.
Oh damn.
Yeah. They'll be
Like,
like,
You're not
they're
doing
gonna
your
kick you out
I
of
job.
church.
You
know.
should be washing these
I know.
minds.
They'll
All
be
right.
like,
But you know what?
do you believe? I'm like, well, you know, I just know you should like that's to say there are certain core values that I took from it that I'm like, that's common sense to me, to be honest. It's like, yeah, you should not cheat on your wife. I mean, come on, bro. You should just not cheat on your wife. If I don't
I mean, that
believe,
just makes you like a freaking like a person of their words.
yeah,
You know what I
like,
mean?
okay, don't disrespect your parents. Hello, why would I want to do that? Do I want to die? You know what I'm saying? There were so many things that they would say, and I'll be like, that's just common sense. But why am I holding on to this piece of information? Like, why is this
Mm-hmm.
sacred to me? Why can't I do this if I want to? Why can't I wear this if I want to? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So you can lie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching you. I know you lying. You can cheat. I've seen you do it. So you're gonna tell me I can't do that because the Bible says so. But the Bible also said this. So I hated the hypocrisy of it all. Like I'd be like, but you're doing it, but you're judging other people not to do it. You know?
So, for me, like I think part of it, like with all of that you're saying,
Mhm.
was also religion does this thing, especially when I'm looking at it in black communities, where like people hold on tight to it because they feel like if they don't like hold on tight to it, if they do let go of it, they'll become like this completely different person that's out of control.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Like it's like
You gotta
their
control the black
way,
people.
like it's like their way of like, I mean, I only know black people, so
Right,
like
it's
in
hard
terms of
to
like
like, yeah.
religion, so that probably
And
is
I'm
like what
probably
it is.
going towards like, the religions that I know. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Right,
don't think
right,
people
of
think of
course. So I'm
religion
going
as a
from what
big
I
spectrum.
know.
Yeah.
but it's just like people kind of see it like thinking of being without religion is kind of thinking of being without morals
Yep.
and without values
Mhm.
and just being this like absolutely terrible person once you don't
Like, what
have
do you
something that
do?
has
Who
to
do you
tell you
follow?
every single thing that you need to do about your life.
Yep.
Speaking of what,
And for me, like the biggest thing for me was just like, so you mean to tell me like you look at mangoes in Haiti, do you know how many different mangoes we have? You look at
Mm.
trees, how many different trees we have. You look at such variety in every
Everything.
single thing that
Everything.
exists
Mhm.
in the world.
Mhm.
And you want me to believe that God wanted one specific kind of people.
Yep.
Everybody had to be like Jesus.
Don't make
How
me
does
think
that make
about it that way.
sense? How is
Um,
this like consistent with the rules of the universe?
I mean, you gotta
You
ask the
know, it's
Bible.
like once you start asking questions, you just
You can't stop. It just
couldn't.
keeps
And for
coming.
me, like I like some people have this belief of like religion in terms of a spectrum where everyone will like all humans all across the world,
Mhm.
whatever culture you're from, you find a way to kind of explain all of those different things that you can't understand.
Not me.
And I think that's one of the reason that why I couldn't kind of call myself an atheist. It was
I
just
can't
like
either. Mhm.
it's like yes, I can say that. I look at this story, I'm like, that's not it. I look at that story, I'm like, nah, like nah, bruh, like back to the drawing board. I don't believe
Back to
this.
the
That
drawing
makes no
board.
sense. But for me to just like just because I don't know what's happening
Mhm.
doesn't mean that like I feel like just saying that nothing is also you finding an answer and fitting it there.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I feel like we have this way,
It's okay to not
especially, I
know.
mean, not even just talking about religion. I think secularism too. Like when you kind of separate from like religion or whatever, that doesn't necessarily automatically mean that it's the best thing.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, people are always saying like religion caused wars. And I'm
Mhm.
like, yes, I agree. Secularism caused wars too.
The world
Like
too.
World War One and
people
World War
cause
Everything.
Two.
war. People
You know what I
Yes.
use
mean?
religion as a
Yes,
tool to
exactly.
do their propaganda and whatever, but that doesn't mean
Mhm.
religion causes it. It's just at the end of the day, people are human, and if religion is a tool that they have to control people, that's what they're gonna use to control people. If finance is a tool that they have to control people, that's what
Mhm.
they're gonna
Mhm.
use to control people.
That's
It's just
true.
like people do whatever they gotta do. I briefly tried to be religious and tried to believe like around like 2004 2003 when the thing was going on in Haiti when they're trying to get rid of Aristide and whatever.
Mhm.
I went through like a traumatic experience and I came out alive. And
Mhm.
the way that I came out alive, it was just I could not believe it. You know what I mean? I was in the position where I felt like, okay, like this is my last day. Like I'm about to die. Let me just like
Mhm.
write my family's names on this piece of paper just in case they find my body
Mhm.
so that Rajukai would know
Oh
who I
my
am.
God. That's
And no, I don't, it's the past. But what I'm saying is after that happened, I felt like Jesus must have saved me. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But
Mhm.
then there
Mhm.
were other children with me.
Mm.
Jesus didn't save them. Like I got
Right.
and I was thinking about like all of these things where it's like, okay, like I'm trying to make sense of it. And like Adessa was saying, sometimes like people use religion to make sense of their troubles, to make sense of the things that they have overcome, to make sense of, their
People have
struggle, their misery.
questions,
Mhm.
Exactly.
and
Mhm.
religion has always been a ready-made answer for
It's
Mhm.
them.
it's
Mhm.
easy
Mhm.
to just give religion props for things because you don't really have to get the actual explanation. You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to figure out how like the planet works or how the sun works, you can
Mhm.
Mhm.
just say God created it, or you can say whatever like other
Mhm.
religion like how it happened to be. You don't have
Mhm.
to have a plausible explanation for it. Whereas if you're trying to use science and like logic to explain certain things, you really have to do that research. You really have to
Mhm.
do those
Mhm.
steps. You
You have to
really
do
have
the
to
details.
figure that
And
out.
also with that, it's like people are also very uncomfortable with just saying, I
Don't
don't
know.
know.
Yes. Why is that so hard?
It's fine. It's fine to be able to be like, Yeah, I can understand that it's not that, and I can understand that it's not this.
Mm.
I
Just
just
because
don't
we haven't
know.
found the answer, it doesn't mean the answer is not somewhere.
Right.
It
I
doesn't
know I'm
exist.
still searching for my
Like
answer.
doesn't mean that it's nothing. It just means I don't know. People hate they feel so uncomfortable with uncertainty.
That's true.
And you know what pisses me off though about religion is that if this answer that you found, that so many people have found, if it works for you, that's fine. Don't make me agree with you. Don't force me to agree with you. Don't whip me into agreeing with you.
Yes, like people
Don't
do
show
that a
Believe
lot.
what
people
you
you
want to
don't need.
believe.
Not even and not so much as like the religion portion. It's like they want you to belong to one or the other. It's like, oh, so you don't
Mhm.
believe in God. Oh, okay. So you do believe in God. It's like, hold up. I'm not trying to define whether or not God exists or whether or not this happened. I'm just trying to find out what works for me in this world. And
Mhm.
this is not it,
Mhm.
right? And that's why I rarely get into this type of conversations with people anymore because they just don't get it. I'm like, I have certain things, certain morals, certain rules for myself, certain things that work for me. It doesn't necessarily have to do with religion, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with against religion either. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I feel like when you look at this world, it doesn't mean there's like a big grandpa with white beard holding over
Mhm.
you and waiting for you to make a mistake and be like, oh, you going to hell. But I do believe in energy. It's weird. But I do
Mhm.
believe there's good energy that people can harness and there's bad energy. And whatever you choose to do with that energy, that's on you. Right. But what I know that I'm no longer doing and I have never really done, you might have done it because of fear, but you know you don't really believe in it. I don't pray, right? I don't sit there and pray to an invisible being and be like, I know I'm really broke today, but
I talk to
God got
myself now.
me tomorrow. Like Jesus is about to
Mhm.
knock that door and I'm going to receive a check. Like, no, that I don't
Except you
believe.
don't receive a check. And except people don't give themselves credit for the things that they do. Like
Yes,
somebody
they
can be
don't.
out there,
Facts.
they're working like
It's like
24
Santa.
hours and like they're doing their
Right,
shit. Like when they
right.
finally make it, they forget that they made that shit
They made
happen.
it themselves.
But
Like, what about
Mhm.
the
when
people
they're
that
not
didn't make it?
succeeding, when
You,
they're not succeeding, they don't even like then they blame themselves. It's like every good thing that
Mhm.
happened is
or they
because
blame
God
the
made it
devil.
happen.
Or they blame the devil.
Mhm.
The devil is
That's
trying
true.
me, but
And
God
that's
got
what they've
me.
been taught to believe too.
Right,
It's like that's the explanation.
right.
And it's kind of like they place you into it's just
And I don't get how
like
people can just be happy that somebody's gonna come to the sky and just kill like a third of the universe.
Yo,
Excuse me, why? Like, how can that like satisfy you? Like that
it
he's gonna come around and just like get rid of people? Like,
see,
I
I
don't
asked
know.
that
Mhm.
question, but then I realized something when I was overthinking, of course, that not only people don't have that choice. When you look at Haiti, for example, because that's the main example that I have, we're not educated enough to do our own research, right? We don't have the resources. And even though we have the Bible, a lot of people don't know how to read, right? Whether it's Creole or French. So we are relying heavily on a pastor or a priest or whoever to tell us a story, right? And what they do is they align the same stories throughout the year, right? And they tell you what they want to tell you and how they want to tell you that story. And I realized I'm like every year on this same day, because I used to be part of the ones that do the programs and all that stuff. I'm like, the Bible is huge. There's a lot of things going on.
Mhm.
But you telling the people the same stories every freaking year on the same
Mhm.
day, the same exact way,
Your
they
pastor was
can't.
hella lazy.
No. They can't grow.
Mhm.
They can't really understand. They don't know what's going on. And then
Mhm.
you come and tell them, oh, Jesus said give. And you give. Jesus
That's
say
right
turn the
before they
other
ask for the
cheek.
refund.
Yeah. They say turn the other cheek and you turn the other cheek. And then the person that is not educated enough, they believe you have their best interests at heart. So they come to you and they hear you and they internalize that and they believe in it, right? So they don't really believe in the religion, right? And that's how white people get away with that shit. They don't believe in the religion. They don't believe in the actual power. They believe in what you're telling them can happen. If you're telling them a miracle can happen and you tell them, pay me money, guess what they're going to do? They're going to give you money and think like a miracle is going to happen. If you tell them this is what they need to do to make it, this is what they're going to do to make it. They don't even understand the values of why they're doing certain things.
But I also don't want to like reduce people who believe in God to like
True,
just
true, true,
stories
true.
about
Right.
True
them,
that.
because I think some people like they go to church because that's kind of like what you do when you believe in God, but they don't really kind of take any of the actual religion pieces of it like at face value.
Hmm. Like they do their
My
own
only
research
thing,
and still believe that.
no, not like doing their own research, but I think some people they would be like they would listen, they understand, they have their questions about kind of what they call the human
And they
aspect
still
of religion.
suppress it.
Right? So they'll have conversations or they'll talk to people or they'll be like really against some of the things that the church is doing, but they still kind of like don't question
The main.
like don't question
Yeah,
their
yeah,
beliefs.
right.
Mm.
Because they just assume that the people that they're talking to are not close enough to God. That's why.
Yes.
Like you can like go to church and be like, oh my gosh, like my pastor has not
It's not
get closer to
holy.
God
The Holy
yet, but
Spirit is
that
fake.
doesn't mean
Hmm.
you don't believe in God altogether. Like people are
Mm-hmm.
able to separate their their community, like
Going
their
to
religious
church, their
community from
community, their
actual
actual belief.
God Himself.
Right.
And also,
Mm.
here's
Or you get some
okay.
Go ahead.
people who are just like um they just take little pieces. So they take this little piece. Oh, like
Right.
God
And
didn't
they
say like
hold on
that's
to
another
it.
nation. And they no, or they like take the bad pieces, like the quote unquote unpopular pieces about Christianity
Mm.
these days, right? So they'll say like, oh yeah, it's all about love after all. Like God doesn't really hate gay people. Or they'll say like little things like that, right? So like if you bring up like the slavery verse, people will be like, well, it was back in the day, blah blah blah. People will
I don't understand
rationalize
that part at
away
all.
I don't
a lot
know.
of
I do
different
not
things
understand that part at
from
all.
the Bible. And that's what I was gonna say. Like, I don't get that.
I don't get
I
that.
don't get how people want to just kind of like want to transform religion suddenly into like they want to keep religion, but they want to like
Conform it
divorce it
in their
from its
own way.
entire history,
Mm.
right? And they want to divorce it from its entire history too. Because I'm like, if today you're going to admit that religion has done all of the harm that it has done,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to like actually brainwashing people.
Mm.
If you're going to talk about that, if you're going to talk about how it was used as the most effective tool in slavery, if you're going to recognize that about religion today, you should have some kind of accountability for religion today. You should have some kind of accountability for the church
We should
today.
Mm.
we
I
should
don't
make this
want to
a
hear
law.
your jokes about Catholic priests
Mm-hmm.
when you still go to mass
Right.
and you're still
Right.
maintaining that system. You're still part of that system. You're still benefiting from it. You're still in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do about that? Like, I don't get that. That one I don't get. When you're trying to kind of suddenly mold religion and still kind of keep it as it is, but still kind of give us a little just like mouth pieces. Like you just talk,
Mm-hmm.
you just say little things about it, but you're still kind of maintaining that system and not actively
Right,
critically
right. They
approaching
be
it.
like, well, I
I'm
know
not
it's
with that.
bad, but at the end of the day, I
They
believe.
don't even know. They don't even say it's bad. It's like, well, maybe we understood it differently. Like maybe we didn't
Yes,
understand it all along. We finally
yes.
figured it
Mm-hmm.
out
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
the Bible could never lie. Like the
I
part
don't get
about
that
like
Mhm.
separation.
obey
That
your
Old
master. There is
Testament,
a part
that
about
New
like, oh yeah,
Testament.
like don't be afraid of beating your children, etc., etc.
So it's not the
Yeah,
same
of
God.
course,
It's not the same God.
it's the same God. We just we human. We're so dumb.
Like,
We didn't get it.
no, it's God.
We're the one who didn't
Yeah,
get
No,
we
it.
but
just
Right. It's not the Bible.
it's not the
Hmm.
Bible that changed. It's us that didn't understand it.
okay. I
Hmm.
just okay. I'll say this. I just don't. I don't want to go too deep into as far as insult. It's not. That's not why I'm having this conversation. But it's more like You mean to tell me the people that wrote the Bible, God Himself put, the words in their mouth and helped them and wrote the stories for them, right? But one story contradict the other. So it's either you can admit that the Bible is flawed, that human beings are flawed. Humans wrote the Bible and they are flawed.
Mhm.
So they wrote it to their own point of view as what was happening to them at that time. Or you admit that the Bible is holy and that God is who God is. He respects slavery. He likes that. He wants you to have multiple wives, and he also wants you to
Mhm.
give out all your riches so you can get into heaven.
Mhm.
You
That's the
cannot
thing.
you cannot pick up your
Mhm.
little pieces and be like, I
Mhm.
believe, but yeah, that didn't make no sense. Oh, really? So you don't believe that God actually took the dirt of the floor and created a little body, and whoo, here you are. You don't believe?
Yeah, it's like some things are
Well,
metaphors, but some
well,
things you gotta do it like right there.
Yeah,
Like Leviticus is not a metaphor. You
yeah.
can't eat this, you can't wear this, you can't eat this. I mean,
that's
even within
the thing
Leviticus,
though. It's just
you
because
can't eat this, but you can, wear multiple garments
Yeah.
together and you won't get stoned.
Israel
I
didn't
can't.
really have a constitution. Like the Hebrews, they never really had a constitution. So with different government or different like royals, like they had to,
Make
because
different
religion
changes.
was still guiding
Right on.
this nation. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
every government or every like new people that come in power are gonna make their own rule, and they can't just say that it's their own rule. It has to be the Lord's rule. You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
a nation that's being guided by God, human
Right.
cannot make the rule for it. So like they have to have a
Mhm.
prophet that writes down the rules, and the rules are gonna change depending on the time or who's ruling at the time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
if the time is still going, I have another question. I know I have a
so
lot of questions with this thing. Go
so
on.
basically it's the thing for like things that you cannot or you can eat.
Mm.
Maybe it had to do with like maybe there was something with the certain food that was making you sick, like pork and stuff like that. Or maybe the elites just wanted to have like certain food for themselves, so they're telling them, because at the end of the day the elites always
They
know
wanted
what's
the food
going
for
on
themselves.
more than the masses. You know what I mean?
True, true,
Like
true.
the masses gonna get like one story for that the Lord has sent to them, and then
Mm-hmm.
the elites are gonna get one story. How come
Of course.
around the time that it like the Israelites were like enslaved, we don't really have any passage around that time that talks about slave obeying their masters.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
around the time that the Israelites were going around massacre, like just
Mhm.
killing like towns from towns and taking slaves, we
Mm.
have a
Mhm.
lot about how slaves should obey their masters and the rules of slavery,
Mm.
because that's what like related to them at the time.
Mm.
And it's so weird that a religion that wasn't even made for us, it was a religion that was for a different nation,
Woo.
and then
Mm.
white people took it, they molded it, they turned it
Mhm.
into something different to control us.
A weapon.
And
Mm.
A whip.
I think one of the things that I just feel like I could never be a Christian specifically, I'm not even gonna like, put other
Mhm.
religion in it, is
Mm.
because of
Mhm.
what effect that it had on our
Yup.
own religion as like
Yup.
Mm.
Caribbean, as African. Now they're telling us
Mhm.
that voodoo is the black magic,
Mhm.
voodoo is the darkness,
Oh
voodoo
yeah,
is
they
the
get
voodoo
to
has
define.
Mhm.
They get to
associated with
define.
the devil, and then Christianity is like
Mhm.
associated with the white robes and the white this and the
Yep.
beautiful whatever.
Mhm.
And then
Mm.
it's just like a whole thing about like black being disgusting and
Bad.
white
Yes,
pretty.
yes, yes. And
Mean.
white means good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like there are
And
like
holy.
we have Haitian people that just like the moment that there's a voodoo song that comes on the radio, they act
Oh
all so
yeah.
tense, like they're
Mm-hmm.
about to go to hell. Oh my God.
Yes.
It's like we just
That's
like they
hilarious
teach
to
us
me.
to hate ourselves, and we hate our culture,
Yeah.
and we hate where
Mm-hmm.
we come from. We hate the things that our ancestors used to
And
do.
not only do we hate it, I think the worst part of it is that
We don't understand
we
it.
don't know it.
Yeah, we don't
Yes.
We
understand
don't.
it. And we're
All that
scared
I
of
know
it.
about
We
voodoo is when
don't.
I moved here. Like I
Yep.
didn't even
Yes.
I didn't
Yep.
get to like experience
I didn't
any of this.
understand a lot of things until
Any of it, and it's from generation to generation until that shit it
I
like
feel like
fucking dies.
we're missing so much. Like there's a
We
lot
are
of
losing
information.
so
There's a lot of
much.
culture that is dying because none of us is recording that shit. None of us is giving that
Mm-hmm.
shit power. None of us
Still
is writing
Yeah, then
persisting
about
it's
it.
not in the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
If it was very popular like Christianity, I promise you everybody will know every
Why
piece
would it
of
be
it.
popular? It's black people stuff, and it's not like white people can use it against us. The only way they can use it against us is by telling us that it's dirty
Right?
and
Or it's
reverse
bad.
Make us like let go of it.
Mhm.
right?
And that's kind of like what the whole game has been, because the thing is that white people have always been fascinated. You
Yep.
don't know how many times people say that. Like, I've been paying attention to, like, very closely, how many times the word voodoo comes up in conversation, just regular conversation,
Mhm.
just the word. Or they always do it like anytime that they want to say something about like magic or something that happens really quickly or something that's really super amazing, they say the word voodoo.
Mm.
And white people, I mean, like, when you go to like other cultures, so like friends, fascinated. They've been always been fascinated by the spirituality of Africans. Like, if you start looking at the amount of books that people have written about this, like white people have written about these kind of topics, the amount of work that has been done in that. And it's like, so if you're doing all of this research and you're doing all of this, but you think that it's something that's dirty and that's unuseful, it's because you are a very primitive person. That's why you would believe in this kind of things.
Mm-mm.
Why?
It's for
What they
them.
don't know is when they go to Haiti and do the stupid research, nobody's telling you all the truth. That's why I never really pick up those books written by white people about voodoo because first of all, none of those voodoo priests are telling you the truth. They're just telling you some bullshit so that you can go away. Like you don't
But
I
understand.
feel different about
even
that,
I
to
mean,
be
some
honest.
people do though. But some people do.
Yeah,
Some people
yeah,
sell it.
that's what I was gonna say.
Some
They
people
sell it.
sell it.
If they
It's
see
great
white people, they
money
just
right
like,
now.
oh yeah, I'll tell you everything you want to know, massa.
But
I'll tell you everything
I
you
Yes.
feel
need
like
to know.
a lot of voodoo priests they take the money, but they don't tell them. Like they don't tell them the truth about
No,
certain things.
no,
Some do.
it's the same thing
I
as
would be
regular
so
Christianity.
disappointed
They are
if you
scammers.
actually tell them.
No,
Yeah,
some
that's what I'm
do.
saying.
Oh
There are
my gosh,
scammers
that
Some
makes me
do,
everywhere.
some
sad.
don't. But I mean, some of them who do sell them caca is because they don't know
They
shit
don't know. That's what
either.
I'm saying.
Like, a lot
There are
of people are
scammers
faking it
everywhere in every
too.
religion.
And they're like, oh, okay, you're a white person. You think I'm Haitian. You think I can do voodoo. I'm going to sell you
That's
some
what I
shit.
That's what I thought
And
too.
you,
Because
All
if
I
I
need
was a
is a
voodoo priest
doll.
and some white people were
I
trying
mean,
to find out,
no,
I would
if
just
that
give them
happened
some
to you,
bullshit or
that's
something, or
fine.
just turn them into a horse and never change them back.
All I need is a
But
doll.
regardless of that, though, like, to bring it back, it's really just like, for me, it's just you have so many generations, and to me, it's not even because voodoo in Haiti and a lot of like other cultures like that like the different forms of um like indigenous traditions, right? Voodoo specifically in Haiti is not just a practice. Voodoo is our
And part of our
music.
history.
It's our dance. It's our art. It's our fucking history.
Thank you.
Like, being
Say it again.
able to
Wait,
call
say it again. Say it
yourself,
again. Say it again.
being
Say it again.
able,
Say it
it's
again.
our fucking
There
history.
you go.
To be able to call yourself, oh, the first Black Free Republic, oh, the Haitian Revolution is this and the Russian Revolution is that. But as soon as someone
How it
mentions anything
happens.
about
How it
voodoo,
happens. They got a problem.
you're just, for you to have the nerve, for you to have the fucking balls to say that voodoo is the reason why Haiti is where it is right now. For you to be able to say that, not recognizing that voodoo was essential, like people being able to come together and organize a revolution, like for it to happen, it happened during ceremonies. It happened when people were communing together. What do you think they were doing?
Exactly.
Like, so for you to like be saying these things, like if we were like really going around eating people, you should be eating. Like, whoever is doing that,
Hello.
it should eat
Anybody?
you as a Haitian person
Yeah.
who's going around repeating that fucking like No, no.
I
You
can't.
know, and I'm not gonna say I can forgive, but I say like I think I'm not gonna like go too hard on people outside of Haiti who just don't care for voodoo music or don't care for
Hmm.
folklore clothes or don't care for
Yeah.
Haitian art.
Who gives a fuck
But
about voodoo?
I I
Damn.
I feel very resentful. Yes, I feel
Hmm.
very strongly about Haitian people who just downplay anything from our culture. Like Haitian people who just
Hmm.
will look at like painting from other people and be like, yeah, that's beautiful. But painting for like our
Hmm.
painting, it's like, how come like there's like no like Picasso version from Haiti? Like, where are they? Like, you don't
Like a
know.
name. You don't know any
Exactly. Like
names.
when we're talking about Haitian art, like there is no name that
Mhm.
like people that try to
Nobody that
Hmm.
stood
downplay
out. Yeah,
Maurice
yeah, yeah.
Sisto and stuff. Like when you're
Mm.
talking about Maurice Sisto, they just think of him as a like
Except for Fuck Etienne. Fuck Etienne does really awesome paintings. But yeah,
right,
go ahead. Sorry.
right. But I'm saying it's like
Hmm.
we spend so much time to talk about like to study American history
Hmm.
and whatever
Hmm.
history. And I feel like they just like put like a little bit of history like for children between like the classes like first grade until sixth grade. But when these kids start to have like the power of like understanding things and
Understanding,
making
yeah.
sense of
They
things,
start
they
teaching
stop
them Haitian
teaching
history.
Haitian history. That's when they
Mm.
start teaching them like American history and
That is
whatever.
true.
Mm,
It's
that's
That is
such
like,
a
true.
good point.
excuse me, because like those are the time that
Mm.
we're supposed to be learning about our
Yeah, you
culture.
don't learn. You
Because as
don't learn
children,
any of
You
that in
wait until
school.
you
yeah,
go to
we're just
university,
trying to
like,
Any
and
of
you
yeah,
that
know
in
how
school.
many Haitians actually go to university. They
right.
do have those conversations, but only in university.
But it's not like
You
a lot
that's
of
such a
Haitian that goes to university though.
exactly yeah, exactly, exactly.
Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
That's
we
so
need like
true.
I feel like we really need
There's
to
no
start
real analysis of our
embracing.
history
They
happening.
don't want us
There's
to
no real
know,
analysis of it.
right?
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That's so
Yep.
crazy. Like you blow my mind
I
right
know.
now.
So I was like, religion. That's what we're saying. I was like,
Yeah.
let's not, because we have so many conversations that goes there, and it's
We're just
like
like
it's
go
your
either way,
fault.
but
It's
I'm really
your
like
fault for
learning.
bringing religion. You know what I'm saying? It's your fault for bringing religion into those things. If they were not into those things, we would not be having those conversations.
But religion does bring
Yeah,
like so
yeah,
for
that's what I
me,
mean.
like when I think about like religion and stuff, like for my mother, for example, you have like both of your children somewhere else. Like so much has happened for so many people
Hmm.
that I feel like religion kind of stops being this because we're not in it, and I guess it's a different generation or whatever.
Hmm.
I feel like religion is really kind of a way that people relate to themselves. They just don't know it.
It's hard for me to say to agree
Because
with you on
to
that.
me, it's like when you're praying, I think it's a form of um self healing. You're trying to like you actually because like for me, like when you said that you don't pray anymore, and I said
Never
that
did.
now I talk to
Hmm.
myself. That's exactly what I meant. Is that like right now, if something is happening and I need money or whatever, like I sit down, I get a piece of
Hmm.
paper, and we start talking. Like we're having a conversation. Like okay, maybe I can do
Hmm.
this, maybe I can do that. Like what if I do
Mm.
this? Like you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I could like plan things
Mhm.
out. That's not something that people do when they're
Nope.
praying
Nope.
necessarily, but they're actually voicing things. Or like even if they're not like if they're not praying with other people, they're like doing it to themselves. Prayer is not like it's not helping them in the sense of like helping them find a solution,
Mm.
but it's helping them in the sense that it's
You there
helping to
for them, I
calm
guess. It's
them.
like the
Like they,
same thing
and then
with
they
Yeah,
know
Shem.
what
like
their
it's helping to
priorities
calm
are, what
them,
problems they trying to
to
fix
kind
right
of
now.
ground them.
Yeah.
Right. So like that like, they're like, okay, so like this is really like they're kind of voicing the things that's really weighing on them.
Mhm.
That especially because like you know our culture, people don't really go
Yeah.
around and tell like the real
That are
thing
bothering
that they're
them.
really thinking about. That's really about that's not the thing that they talk
Especially
about.
when they're praying in public, they want people to hear them, like what they're saying.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So they won't do that. But when they are like praying to themselves, so like a lot of people, religion kind of really is the thing that kind of grounds them.
Mhm.
So for me, even like when I talk to people, and I'm always gonna be like whatever, like I believe what I believe now, and that's that.
Mhm.
But I do get that like nature kind of abhors a vacuum. So like a lot of people just feel like that's what they have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't want to talk to you about it. Like whenever they try to kind of like really convince you of how religion is good and how religion is whatever, they're not necessarily trying to convince you. They're trying to kind of reaffirm
Mm-hmm.
themselves and kind of reaffirm their footing so that they don't feel like whenever you if you get up and you can walk away from it, then that means that puts into question a lot of different things. So they have to think that you're crazy
Right.
or that you're going through a
Right.
stage or that you'll be back. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they have to believe that in order to really kind
They
of not
have to
look
have
at it in the sense
something,
that
mainly because of fear too.
he,
Like, what comes next? You mean to tell me that one day I just won't exist anymore? There's got to be something
and
that
I think
comes
there's
after.
like maybe a little bit of pattern of addiction.
Hmm.
I feel like anything that you use as like a real crutch to deal with your life, you become addicted to it. So you don't really want to
I mean, it is
see
scary
any
to
other
think
way of
about.
living.
I mean, not that I don't have religion to rely on and be like, oh, shoot, I might go to heaven or hell. I'd be wondering, like, okay, so one
What
day I'm just
happens?
gone. All right. Nowhere. I'm just gone. No, great,
I mean,
great.
I
I
feel
like
like
thinking
at
about
some
that.
point, like,
Or
we
you
have
don't
to
know.
accept that that's how the universe works. You know,
Right, right,
things
right.
Right.
come
That you
to
just don't
life,
know.
die, and new things comes to life. You know, that's why we don't have the same species that we used to have that we have now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why
Mm-hmm.
we're not the same that we used to be. But the one thing that I really wanted
I mean,
to
our
touch
ego doesn't want to die. So
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to religion is the fact that I'm not gonna say religion because I feel like I only did
No
religion 101
Christianity. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
university, and I'm not really well versed. I haven't really touched on like other religion for a while, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Christianity I have like a connection to it because of where I come from and also my family. And
Mm-hmm.
my personal experience is
Mhm.
that Christianity sexualized women at a very very young age. Um, you know, as far as
Yeah.
like, you know, don't wear pants. Like I remember when I was a kid, you wear pants to
Mm-hmm.
church for some reason that makes you demoiselle or some stuff, and that's bad. And also like the kind of skirt or the kind of dress that you want, like you want to wear, and how people start to like see you as like a young thing ready to get, you know, like a ripe thing, just like waiting
Mhm.
to
And they have to
get.
kind of like save you and protect you and make sure
Right,
that you
but
don't
it's like
like become one
there
of
are like sexual aspect about yourself that you're not even aware of yet because you're still a kid and stuff. And it's just like people in your own like religious community just telling you like, hey, you doing that, like you must be like starving for some sex or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
you like you start to see like how like your pastor or the older people and the youth people are starting to look at you like the moment that you start to like grow some tits
Forming,
and whatever.
shaping.
And then
Yeah.
your parents really trust these people because you know they are men of the Lord. They
Mm.
are God's men, and I think religion actually give them that blanket that
That
they can
gateway.
use.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that they can use to just do whatever they want to do because at the end of the day, your parents are thinking like those people can be trusted just because they happen to be religious.
Right. Right.
Whereas,
Right. Right.
regardless if you're religious or if you're not, if you are a person that is or that can do bad, you will do bad.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
no matter like no amount of religion is going to save you from doing that. Maybe you might have like that thing where you're like, if you really believe, you might have that thing like, oh my God, like God might punish me.
Yeah.
But you can
Yeah.
also have that thing you feel like, oh, God
Will
is
forgive
letting me
you,
do that.
or you can ask for
Right?
forgiveness after.
Right?
Mhm.
Right? And
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes like Christianity really um stop people from protecting their daughters or their son because
Mm-hmm. They have that
they
trust. They have
consider
that trust in it.
the priest too close to God where they don't
Mm-hmm.
even like they don't
Mhm.
even try to protect their kids because they think their kids are in good hands.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
do wish.
And
Go ahead.
I do think that like that's one way of like bringing back like the idea of religion and
Mm.
slavery. And again, I only know black
Yeah.
people. But I think this idea, because I think religion itself had a very specific relationship to black people than it did white people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, whenever I make these points, I don't necessarily mean that like it's a different God or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
just for people who
Right.
I don't know if you're listening to this, if you would even listen all the way to
Mm-hmm.
here.
Right?
But saying, I think that what you were getting at, and that's one thought that I've had a lot, is that in slavery times they used religion in a way to kind of bypass parenthood,
Mm-hmm.
because you really didn't really get to have a a family, and you weren't really raising your family, you
Yep.
know. But even kind of like after slavery and whatever, like especially like if you're looking at religion like in Black Americans like here,
Mm-hmm.
you see this thing where parents just think that, like, I can't give you anything. I mean, I can't give you anything, but religion is like the
Mm-hmm.
best thing that I
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
give
Mm-hmm.
you. Like,
For you to
religion can
accept where
give
you are
me
too.
all the rules that I need to make sure that
Mm-hmm.
Like, so they use religion as the reference guide for
Right.
parenting.
Right.
And it's this way of kind of like separating people from kind of like their agency. Like, I can raise my kid the way that I want to raise my kid, and I can teach them what I think and believe is
Mm-hmm. I
right,
still question that. Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
this template,
Right?
to this template that you have to, this is how you raise your
Mm-hmm.
kid. And you see that this template is really just kind of mostly applied the poorer you are and the
Yeah, and
darker
make
you
you
are.
accept the fact that you poor and that Jesus
Yes.
will see you through it, and
Oh,
accept the
Bobby.
struggle and not try to make it better. Like what? No,
Yes.
no, no.
Yes. And so you kind of like start kind of like to really see it as, because like you're looking at like the schools that, like, even the schools that like kids have access to in Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
When you're growing up, like if you were like, let's say, I don't know, classes in Haiti is like really hard. Let's say you're like lower middle class, or like you're middle class and you can go to like a
Yep,
Catholic
yep, yep. That's what
Catholic
you
school
had.
or whatever. But when you got like money
Yeah.
in Haiti, you don't go to any of those schools.
That's true.
Like the type of schools that you're going to, like you're doing projects in group. You don't got people that's like pitting you
Mm-hmm.
guys
Mm-hmm.
against each other. Like that's not the same shit that they're teaching you. They're not teaching your kid La Fontaine, right? When you got
No.
when you got money, like they're teaching your kids actual things that will make them
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They're not
And different
taking
type of
time away
cultures
from
and
teaching
all
your
that stuff.
kid, right, to have like a seminar around God. They're not taking an hour away from your kid every day for
Mm.
mass. Like things that the kids should be learning and could have
Yeah. Yeah.
access to.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like
So
talking
religion,
about those schools, like those schools are supposed to be free because they are charity schools, by the way, that a lot of Haitian are paying like a bunch of American dollars for.
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
They're
I
making money off of your head. You don't even know it.
I do wish that.
and you can even
Yeah,
access
yeah.
it.
I wish that we had somebody that believed right now to have a conversation with, because I feel like
Me
I have.
too. I was thinking
Yeah,
the same thing. What do
yeah,
you have
because I'm
against me?
like, we all see things, even though we see it separately, but we're still asking questions. And I want to speak with somebody that stop asking
Mhm.
questions, like why? Because my thing is, if the Bible have Old Testament that related to people at that time, and then they had a Newer Testament that still related to people, to us that were old. You know what I'm saying? That's an old timing. Why did the Bible stop? You know what I'm saying? Why did it end? Why is it not continuing of evolving, just like it evolved, to Jesus, and this is how things are right now? Why did it stop?
Because
Did
people
did
thought Jesus was coming right away
Yeah,
when they were
why
writing
doesn't
those
God like
things.
you
inspire
know
people
you
still
know what I'm
to
saying? Like,
write?
did God stop talking to people? Did Jesus stop
No.
talking to people? You know what I'm saying? Like,
So we ended up having like new Christianity religion that have new books, like the Book of
Oh yeah,
Mormons,
Ellen G. White.
and
She did talk to she did talk to God a lot.
so
Oh my God.
it's not really like the Bible stopped
Oh,
because
Ellen G. White.
those stories, like the first testament, after the first testament was written, it didn't continue. It was just it. And then Jesus came, then we had like this new religion that they made based on Jesus after like
hmm
Jesus was already
right,
born,
right,
like
right,
at least
right.
a good
Yeah.
7 years.
hmm
And then they had the persecution because religions are always like fighting with other religion
Right,
because
right, right,
that
right.
was like a
They're
way
the
of
best.
power.
They
Like,
better. They better.
yeah, like it was like a way to, like, it was a tool to hold power. So
hmm
when people are starting to start new religion, it's threatening the monarchy. So they need to like get rid of these people. So a lot of these people, they think, oh yeah, like I'm a martyr for God, or I'm blah blah blah. So then that religion stopped. But I mean, they stopped writing about that religion, but people still follow it until a new person is gonna come through and say, I had a dream. And I'm not making fun of Martin. I'm
I've
just
been
talking about like
waiting.
people
I've been
in
waiting.
general.
I
People in
promise
general,
you. Like
like
they turned
Mormons
us
and
into cults
Adventists.
now.
Adventists wasn't around before. It wasn't
Yeah, that's why I said Ellen G.
right.
White. Like they literally arose from a group that believed that God was gonna
It's
come like right
subsection.
away.
It's that's why like
Like they
all
had a
Christians don't
date.
believe
Like they
in
had a date and everything.
right.
And then when it didn't happen, they still kind of maintained it as a
Right.
religion.
Because before, like when Paul was sending those letters and he was talking like Jesus is gonna come back soon, he wasn't talking about 2,000 years from now. He was talking about Jesus is gonna come back soon and get your shit together. But then Jesus didn't come, so it just become like
Jesus didn't come. Jesus stood them up. Okay.
Jesus
My last
and
thing. I know
guys.
we're like long overdue, but my last thing is, if you believe in anything you decide to believe in, that's cool. That's good. Whatever helps you sleep at night, whoever you have to talk to about your problems, however you feel about making your life better, go for it. If you want to let Jesus take the wheel throughout your life, go for it. But stop trying to take over somebody else's life. You know what I'm saying? Stop trying to tell somebody else this is what should work for them. Like, or you hate them for it, or you want to hurt them for like, no, not everybody want to go to heaven with you. If you want to go to heaven, cool beans, you know what I'm saying? But somebody else might not want to go to heaven. Stop forcing them and telling them this is the best thing to do, or whatever version of heaven your religion has. Not everybody wants that, like
I will also add,
some people
like,
just want to live their life.
ask some questions. Like, even if like your questions bring you right back to where you started and you still believe, that's fine. But I think there's like some worth to just ask the question, and maybe there's an alternative that you've just never seen. But if there isn't, and that's great, then you're even more sure that you're
Right.
on
Like
the
they don't
right
want to
path.
question it
That's
at
for you.
all. I have faith.
Me,
Okay.
I don't think I want to say that you don't want to question it because you don't know.
Mhm.
But we are open to have somebody who's I was hoping that one
I
of
am
us would be
open.
Yes.
I am
religious
open.
because I actually didn't know. We didn't know that, but all of us didn't believe. I'm today
I didn't
finding
know.
out.
I didn't know about you, Cass. I knew about that. So I'm like, I didn't know about you. Like,
Well,
were you too?
because I never really
Really?
asked her, so none of us knew what each other's beliefs were. So
I
maybe in
still
the
don't know what my
future
belief
we would
is.
like to
I'm
have
so sorry.
a
I
guest,
still don't
and
know.
that's okay if you don't know. I mean, you
I'm
don't have
still
to know, but we
like,
would
I'm just
we
gonna
would
rely on
want
myself.
somebody who knows what they want and why they are religious. Probably like you don't have to be Christian in the
No, I
future
don't have
to
to be
have somebody
anything.
because we want
Anything.
everybody to have a voice here in we want you to know that those things are our thoughts. That's not what we want all of the world to feel about religion. Like we have our thoughts
We're also here to
Right.
learn.
and you
Always.
have yours. And if you feel like we were wrong about certain things, because I feel like this is a very sensitive subject. And I know we're joking all the time and we're making jokes and we're also touching on serious things as well. But we're not telling you how to live your life. We're not telling you don't be religious. We're not telling you you dumb. We're not telling you any of that. We actually want you to actually dissect us yourself. Maybe there are things about us that we didn't even know because
True.
sometimes like when you're on the outside it's easier to tell what's going on. So
Came out of nowhere.
holla at us. Yeah, if you don't come on the show, don't be complaining about how we're not representing you correctly. That's all I gotta say.
Welcome.
Coming up next is our new regular segment, Weekly Rent Time. Every week, after our conversation, one of us will rant about something that we just can't let go.
La gueule, non, on veut plus de violence. Black on black, zéro tolérance. Black Lives Matter. Je vais quand même te couper la queue. Tu pourras plus faire la file. Tu pourras pas les filer. Mon couteau est trop effilé. Moi j'en ai marre, je vous l'ai déjà dit. Y a pas que moi, y a surtout les esprits. Jusqu'à la mort, c'est ça la vie.
Why are you so angry, bruh?
I am angry. I'm angry at men. And I know at the end of this, they're going to be like, oh, you hit men, you're going to end up alone. So fucking what? I don't care. And I'm angry at men who feel like doing the bare minimum should get them praise. I am angry at men who come in a place, don't know how things work, and just want to claim it for themselves. I am angry at men who have stolen ideas and energy and creation of women and make it their own, claim credit for it, and then just treat women like they're dumb anyway. I am angry at men who cannot recognize that a woman can be intelligent. It's 2019 and we still have to convince men that we are freaking intelligent. Like we have a brain. Like you're not the only one who was born with a brain. We were born with one too. We have power of discernment. We have logic. We can think for ourselves. And I'm even angrier at men who say things like, I want me a smart woman, a smart, independent woman. And the moment they get a woman who's smarter than them, their little balls starting to flap around and they're panicking because they want you to be smart, but they don't want you to be that smart. And I cannot stand men who feel the need to accept anything that all of their friends are telling them, except the woman that's in their lives. They'll take advice from everybody
And their mama.
except for the woman. It's like for some reason they just want you to be like a pot in the house, there for decoration and nothing more. They're not looking for somebody to add anything of value to their lives because they think they figured it out just because they were born with a tube and two balls underneath it. I'm angry. I am fuming at men who think that they can tell you that you're smart and you're supposed to take it as a higher compliment than any other compliment that anybody has ever given you because their words and more in their compliment carry more weight than anybody else's just because they happen to be born with a penis. That's my rant for
This is me snapping my fingers. Tell
today.
We from the old school. Don't let them rope you. You running things, stay in your lane, wishing to smoke you.
Connecté à la zone. Ça qui mourit, ça fait aïe.
Thank you, everyone. And don't forget to tune in for our next episode next week on Wednesday.